Hello everyone, welcome to the fourth lecture of the Pro Lego Pro Engineer Pre-Elements Pro tutorial series. So in our last lecture we went over how to create parts with radial symmetry, and we created a 1x1 studded brick which has the which is radial symmetric. So in this lecture we'll explore how to create parts using the shell and rib commands. So we'll start out by creating a part. So we'll call this, say, brick. Start out with a, say, 2x3, because the set that we use, the CMU set, already has a 2x2 brick. So we'll make a 2x3 brick. Is it okay? So, now, it might be useful for us to use this part, or to see how we can use relations to basically drive the entire part. So what we can do is, we go to Tools, Relations. So we can set here, see, we'll define our Lego unit equals 0.8065. So we'll comment this. So we'll say Lego unit. So below that, we'll have our Lego depth unit. And that is equal to, say, LD equals 0.9678, which is the height of one brick. So here we'll define this as the, we'll say, length, width. This is also in centimeters, say cm. And here we'll say this is for the depth. It's also in centimeters. If you recall, we also have our set measurements, our set sizes for the stud of the brick. So we'll say SDIA equals 0.478 centimeters. Comment this. So the stud diameter is cm. And we'll set our stud height, our stud depth. So say SD equals 0.178. Is also centimeters. And lastly, we can define, I guess we can find this using either the Lego unit divided by, or minus the stud diameter, but we can set what the width of the size of the part would be. So we'll say WT, I guess for wall thickness, equals 0.16425. Say wall thickness, centimeters. And then also define the height, or the diameter and depth of the hole that goes in the stud. So to say stud, or hole, let's say hole diameter. Say HDIA equals 0.258. And then our depth is, let's say HD equals 0.388. So let's say hole depth. That pretty much covers all the dimensions that we've used so far. So from here, do export relations. Now this we'll save the relations that we've set. So if we want to go into a folder here, so we'll save this as, we'll say, Lego relations, and save. So now, if we ever need to use these relations in another part, instead of having to retype them or going in and try to copy them, we can simply import them in the Relations Manager. That's good for now, so we'll click OK, and we can create our part. So of course we'll start off with a sketch on the top plane. Of course we'll draw our simple, our rectangle here. Let's see. This is SD1. This is SD0. So this is SD0 divided by 2. And this is SD1 divided by 2. So it's putting our relations, so we can now remain centered with respect to the origin. So set this as, say, 3 times LU. And then we'll set this as 2 times LU. So now we have our 3 Lego unit by 2 Lego unit part that we'll be creating. And from there we'll just click done. And reorient to see a little better. Extrude. So now, if you remember, we have our Lego depth set, so we'll say LD, enter, enter. So now we have our part that is created, that is 3 Lego units by 2 Lego units, length and width units, by 1 Lego depth unit. So we'll say OK. We also want to draw our stud. So do that now. Of course, remember where the placement is. We'll place this with respect to the sides here. So we'll say LU divided by 2. Say LU divided by 2. And this becomes SDIA. And then afterwards, click the check mark, and we'll extrude this. So our depth is SD. Enter. Again. So now we can either hit the check mark, or sometimes I like to just middle mouse click, which will also confirm the feature. So now that's done. You can see we have one stud here, and we'll just quickly show how we can create our hollow, or our shell, this part. So there's a feature called a shell. You can click, and now we can see we have our part, sort of an outline of the inside that we're hollowing out. So we can of course change how thick the hollow is. And because we want to make sure that our studs can insert in the bottom of this, we will make sure that this feature, or the bottom part here, is also hollowed out down to where this plane is. We can do that by clicking Control, then click. We'll see this extends down to the surface. Of course, we can do this for many other surfaces as well. As you can see, all the pink surfaces are now have the shell extrude, or move all the way out to the surfaces. We can also want to do that by just clicking Control and clicking again to remove those, because we really only want the bottom surface now. So double click here, change this to, say, WT, so our wall thickness. So now our part is the thickness that we want, at least for the walls. And so we have our hole there in the center, our hole underneath the stud. So let's click OK. So now I think just for consistency we'll put, I said I always like to do this, we'll insert our hole here, make sure this extends down to the surface. So this is HDIA. Again, that hole is a little bit smaller than the ones we've been using. Just for consistency, we'll make that hole there. Of course, you don't have to. It's there just for aesthetics. So we'll create a pattern. Say pattern. So again, we'll use direction. So we're creating 3 of these, and we're creating 2 in that direction. The distance is LU and LU. Click OK. The same thing for the whole pattern, and just minimize button, click. So now we have our holes in the bottom set up and our shell set up. So all we have left to do now is create the protrusions underneath, which will lock the studs in place. We'll draw on the surface again. Now we know how to dimension this. Let's say LU. And LU. So now this is the outer diameter. So we will create a tangent point between this and, let's see, it's referencing this side. Put there. So now we have that tangent set up. And as I said before, we can also create a second circle to extrude the circle with a hole in it. You can see, if we get close enough, we can see that the 2 radii are similar. So we'll click OK, and then we'll exit out. So now we have this feature created. And if we just extrude this, extrude to this surface. So now the part's created there. So we'll click. Right, check mark. And we'll create a pattern from this. Into pattern. Again, click direction. Say LU. And click check. So now we have these 2 extrusions, or protrusions, that are used in the bottom of the part. So as I said before, so we have our shell created. Now, so in this part we also need to create basically ribs that connect, basically for the stability of the part, to make sure that the sides don't flex. These parts have ribs connecting the circle, basically the inner protrusion, to this outer shell. So what we can do for that, first we'll create, just to get to be the right size, create a datum plane here. So you can see before, click the datum plane icon. We'll click this front, or it's our top datum plane. So now we're creating this plane within reference to the top datum plane. We'll create this at LD divided by 3 depth. Enter. Click OK. So this is the plane that we'll be creating our rib on. So we create a rib by clicking on the trajectory rib icon here. So we have placement. Let's see. So we'll define a sketch. We can also create this outside, but in this case, we'll create this as a feature within the rib here. Let's click this sketch. Okay, so let's rewrite this a little bit. You can see the bottom. So now we're going to have a rib going across here, about there. I'm trying to avoid setting any kind of undesired constraints here. So we'll constrain this later on. Now we'll click the coincident constraint. So we'll click the point here, and then we'll click the inner surface. So now it's coincident to the inner surface. The same for all of these, the outside. Like this. And we'll create this coincident with this here. Actually, what we want. Control Z. This will be coincident, sorry, with the, let's see, our surface doesn't work. Alright. So for now. So in this case, so we want this point to be coincident with the basically not with the tangent, but just be coincident with the outside surface here. So in that case, let's see if we just create sort of the cheap way to do it. We can create references, and then should be able to set these coincident. And then so you want to make sure that these are within those points, or within this area, basically aligned with the center point. Let's see. That's not going to work. Alright, there we go. So click on the center point and then click on the line itself, and we'll have everything aligned as it should be. So from here, click the check mark. We'll set the direction of the extrusion, or our rib. So you'll see now we have our set of ribs created, and we have the set of thickness, and also we can see that. So we have the rib is flush with the outer surface and also the inner surface of the part. So from here, we'll set this as, I think it should be the wall thickness divided by 2. So that is just a preview of our feature. We'll click check mark. So now you see we have our 2x3 brick created. We have our hollow, or our shell inside, and we have our ribs for stability for the sides, and also for the extrusions, or say the holes in the center, cylinders in the center. So with that, our part is done. Make sure you want to save. And with that, everything's done. So again, thanks for watching. Keep building, and I'll see you guys later.